Welcome to the ROSWELL of Chicago, Illinois, nonprofit home video and artworks creations. In this particular video, we will be looking at the 400-year-old outdated man-based religions in relationship to a gray and brown extraterrestrial 9 and 339 face of Allah as YESHUA that appears upon the Babylonian temple walls. Now remember, Babylon is located in modern Iraq. This is where we see the 12 sons of Jacob of Psalms 105th chapter and 23rd verse, crossing the Euphrates River as they entered into ancient Egypt. Now, it was the fourth son of Jacob that's referred to in the book of Genesis 49:8 as the biblical African couching lion thinks of ancient Giza, Gaza, Gath, Palestine, Ethiopia, and Jerusalem. He brings the stealth pyramids from Babylon, located in the modern Iraqi area, into ancient Egypt. Hence, we see the first stealth pyramids in North Africa. Now, when we look at the Babylonian stealth pyramid temple walls, we see an Ethiopian cross. Now, this Ethiopian cross has a brown and gray, which is seen upon the mini stone replica of Inanna in Inanna's breast area. So, when we look at this ROSWELL alien being trampled upon the Babylonian temple walls by the right foot of Allah, a gray and brown extraterrestrial that has 3 fingers and 1 thumb on each hand. Now, what's amazing about the Allah image is that it exposes the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible biblical lie concerning the illegal name change of Jacob into Israel. So it exposes the modern state of Israel to be populated by Greek and Roman conquerors of Daniel 8:12 over the biblical Holy Land areas of Giza, Gaza, Gath, Palestine, Ethiopia, and Jerusalem. So when we look at this Greek and Roman with 6 fingers and 1 thumb biological fallen cherub, remember, it looked like a white man, so I given it the tag 6 upon the Babylonian temple walls. It's being trampled underfoot by gray and brown extraterrestrial 9 and 339 face of Allah as YESHUA. Now remember, the 9 face filter resembles a black extraterrestrial. It looks like a gray extraterrestrial, but it's black or bluish brown. Okay. Now, when we look at this depiction upon the Babylonian temple walls, we see Allah as YESHUA trampling down the 1947 South American ROSWELL, New Mexico alien that has 5 fingers and 1 thumb on each hand, the left and right hand. Now, what's the significance of discovering the Babylonian style pyramid temple ruins of the gray extraterrestrial Elohim guardians of our entire solar system, at war with the 6-finger ROSWELL, New Mexico aliens? Well, it transpires to who landed up on Mount Sinai in the glowing circle of will within the world, like UFO in the Old Testament. Now, when Prophet Ezekiel looked up at this glowing will within the world like UFO over Mount Sinai, we're talking about a Middle East UFO. So he saw a crystal dome at the top of this UFO, and he saw the biological extraterrestrial or gray and brown extraterrestrial as YESHUA. Okay, now that's one encounter. The second encounter is when the prophet Elijah was caught up into a whirlwind, another UFO in the Old Testament. Now, all of the ancient African prophets had this African 9 extraterrestrial in a spaceship watching over them. Now here's where we see the interior of a crashed Afghanistan UFO wall, which looks like a hypercube door that has a hypercube doorway. So if you walk into a UFO in Afghanistan that crashed, you'll see the hypercube walls, and looking straight forward, the doorway in the center of the spacecraft looked like a cube, okay, sideways cube. But now on your blank sheet of paper, if you draw 3 cubes within one another, one smaller than the other, and draw a line from the corner of each cube past the corner of the next cube, okay, and stand in the middle of that cube on the blank sheet of paper, you're standing in the middle of the crashed Afghanistan UFO. Now, what is the significance of this? Well, the significance of this is that the Afghanistan crashed UFO bears the Babylonian temple walls, green and brown extraterrestrial Elohim of our entire solar system. And as far as the Africans that was found and filmed by the Marines as they entered in with armed with machine guns in their arm, they were filming as they walked through the crashed Afghanistan UFO, the walls in the area. So when I got the image and filtered it, I saw African prophets in the walls in a CRYOSTATE. So that means that all of the prophets that was transported off the earth in the Old Testament up into Ezekiel's biblical will within the world like UFO, their hydrogen-like element of their soul that we see glowing around the chemical circular area of the cell in this ionized circular holy hydrogen-like accretion platform. That ionized hydrogen light was rerouted through the walls line to the cube into the hypercube engine area of the spaceship. Now, when you standing inside of that, the center of this crashed Afghanistan spaceship, and looking straight forward, you're actually looking at at a cube doorway, and that has those lines at the edge of the cube extending towards the entire length of the hall that you're walking through to get into the spacecraft. So basically, the hydrogen light element of all human souls that's seen in Microbiology 101 with the electron microscope, glowing around the chemical circular area of the human cell in this ionized circular holy hydrogen light creation platform. So that hydrogen light is rerouted into the spaceship cube hyper engine matrix. Now you say, well, why is that? Well, remember, we're talking about gray and brown extraterrestrial guardians of our entire solar system in their spaceships, and we have the privilege of viewing the interior of one of the biblical cherubs of the King James Bible, 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible, interior wall of the crashed UFO in Afghanistan. Now, when we make the connection between the cube of New Jerusalem, in which the National Space Administration Soho satellite imagery filmed in orbit around our sun as a Jupiter-sized black cube orbiting around our sun. This is cubing eternity, because when you look up at night, you see stars and black space. Black space is eternal. It goes on and on in any direction forever. So when you cube black space, you're cubing a part of eternity. Okay, so then when we see that the stars exist in black space through 2 rotating forms of black space, like black holes touching tip to tip, which generate the hydrogen atom that creates our stars. So when we look at New Jerusalem cube structure being filmed by the National Space Administration Soho satellite imagery orbiting around our sun, we go back to Babylon temple walls, which explains the cube as a Ethiopian cross in LALIBELA in Africa. It's a vertical and horizontal rectangular section, and this appears on the Babylonian temple walls. That's the image of NIBIRU. It was represented as the cross, the planet of the crossing. Now, This is where we connect the gray and brown extraterrestrial 9 and 339 phase and the Afghanistan's UFOs as the extraterrestrial guardians of our entire solar system, connected to NIBIRU, or the cube of New Jerusalem. So, in order to connect a vertical rectangular section and horizontal rectangular section to the cube structure of New Jerusalem, we're looking at the Ethiopian cross in modern LALIBELA appearing on the Babylonian temple walls, which explains why the book of Psalms in the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible speaks of the 12 sons of Jacob in Psalms 105th chapter and 23rd verse, leaving Iraq the Babylonian stealth pyramid civilizations of Ham, as he entered into crossed the Euphrates River and entered into North Africa, bringing with them the Iraqi or Babylonian stealth pyramids of the first black African Hamitic stealth pyramid civilizations. So when we connect Babylon, cross image of Nibiru, and the 6-point star also appears on the Babylonian temple walls that has a central circle. Now, so two elements that expose us to outdated 400-year-old man-based religion is that the normal here, the African Adam, appears to be connected to the cross-shaped building structure of modern LALIBELA. There is a vertical rectangular section and a horizontal rectangular section. Together they generate the Ethiopian African cross. Now today there's a real cross-shaped building structure in Ethiopia in a place called LALIBELA that was carved out of solid bedrock. And the area that was left formed a square. So the square is so deep, if you jump down in it, once you reach the bottom and look up, you're looking up from the cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem. So this is how we connect Africa and the ancient Africans in Ethiopia to Babylon. Now we're doing this archaeologically with the architecture of the Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure in LALIBELA in Ethiopia. It's the same cross-shaped building structure that appears on the Babylonian stealth pyramid temple walls, and which I'm placing on this video. So when we make our greatest discoveries concerning a black alien in a spaceship. Now remember, we have gray and brown aliens with big black oval-shaped eyes, 3 fingers and 1 thumb. Okay, now they was landing up on Mount Sinai in a glowing circle of world within a world like UFO in the Old Testament of the King James Bible. But when we connect a black skinned alien with big black oval-shaped eyes and about 3.5 feet tall, he has 3 fingers and 1 thumb on each hand. This is where we cross the line into reality, because now we see a black god, a black extraterrestrial in a spaceship on the Babylonian temple walls. And this image is so old, in which I discovered, it connects who landed on Mount Sinai in the King James Bible in the Old Testament. Now when we see this, we see that the Allah character on the Babylonian temple walls is Enki, E-N-K-I. Both names, Allah and Enki, is representing a black-skinned extraterrestrial, okay, with big black oval-shaped eyes. Now, Allah is YESHUA. Remember, we're talking about a 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible that was copied from the Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls. Now when you fly to the Middle East, into Jerusalem, and go into the Qumran cave, a group of mountains, it's a hole in the mountain, and scholars and theologians crawl through the hole in the mountain in the Middle East, in the Holy Land. It's connected to the Qumran Mountains, right? The Qumran Mountains. Once they crawled through the hole, they found the Dead Sea Scrolls. So it was just like some scrolls with Islamic Aramaic language. Now if you go to Iran, Iraq, or Babylon, or Egypt, or Palestine, and take one of their post letters, you see it's the same language that the Dead Sea Scrolls was written in. So if you take the writings of a Palestinian, put it on a blackboard underneath the Dead Sea Scroll language that the Bible was copied from into English, Latin, and Greek, it's the same thing. So you go to Egypt and put one of their post letters on the blackboard, and you see, put the Dead Sea Scrolls underneath that. You say, oh, the Egyptians was writing in Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scroll language, okay, as well as the hieroglyphic language. And the Palestinians are still using the Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scroll language. So when you go to Iran and Iraq, you see, put their post letters on the blackboard, and you'll see the same Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scroll language. This brings us full circle back to the Babylonian temple walls, since the 12 sons of Jacob in the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible traveled from Babylon into ancient Egypt, according to the book of Psalms, 105th chapter and 23rd verse, where the fourth son of Jacob entered into ancient Egypt after crossing the Euphrates River that separates Africa from Asia, the stealth pyramid civilization of Ham, located in Iraq. So the fourth son of Jacob entered into ancient Egypt, according to Psalms, the book of Psalms in the King James Bible, 105th chapter and 23rd verse. So the fourth son of Jacob, as the Lion of the tribe of Judah, a black man face that appears on a lion's body in front of the Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramids. So the fourth son of Jacob, that's referred to in the book of Genesis, the first book in the King James Bible, speaks of a black man that's couched down in front of the Egyptian pyramids in Africa, facing east toward the sun. And that black man in the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible is referred to as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. But he is the fourth son of Jacob. Now remember, Jacob had 12 sons that left Babylon and crossed the Euphrates River, that thin strip of water separating Africa from Asia and the Babylonian stealth pyramids in Afghanistan and in Iraq. Now here's where we see the fourth son of Jacob as the biblical African couching lion sphinx of ancient Giza and Gaza, Palestine, Ethiopia, and Jerusalem. So he enters into ancient Egypt and couches down in front of the Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramids, where we see 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid square basis when we view the Egyptian pyramids from a helicopter. So when we go to the Dome of the Rock outer wall, and we have an octagonal building structure that has a golden dome. The outer wall has stone rectangular window frames covering the entire outer wall surface of the octagonal building structure that has the golden dome in Jerusalem. So the rectangular window frames has 1, 2, 3 grouping of pyramid squares